When the leader of a chain of hand-holding skaters suddenly turns in a tight circle, he sweeps the entire chain into a circle-describing pattern, with each successive skater circling at a greater radius from him. Since the greater the radius, the 3.14159 times greater the circumferential distance to be traveled, the accumulated momentum of the chain imparts ever greater acceleration to the hintermost of the original chain. With centrifugal force, in turn, breaks the hand gripping and causes the hintermost individual skaters to successively break away at great speed. This fast spin-off they must cope with as best they may. When a physics teacher wishes to demonstrate the fundamentals of wave behavior to his class, he often fixes a secure hook onto the wall and fastens the end of, for example, a 10-foot-long piece of rope to the hook. Then, going to the other end of the rope, he pulls it not quite tightly, leaving just a little slack in it. He then whips the rope ceilingward, then floorward, followed by a final jerk ceilingward. This whips a wave into the rope. This wave goes all the way to the wall hook, where it turns around and returns to the teacher's hand and stops. This demonstrates that a wave always closes back to its starting point to complete a cycle. If the teacher leaves more slack in the rope, the wave has greater height and depth lengths. In the first million years of humans on planet Earth, we have the Phase 1 ice skaters spin-off pattern, deploying humans to unknown, remote from one another lands in the 20th century. We have the Phase 2 physics teacher's wave returning upon itself to complete its cycle. First, we have the Phase 1 world-around deployment of humanity on foot, animals, and rafts. In Phase 2, we have the world-around sailing ship explorers, then the Royal Mail steamships, followed successively by the cable, the wireless telegraphy, the telephone, the airlines, the satellite relayed around the world, wireless telephony, and the world-around sky buses, all of which, unnoticed by political society, have been inexorably, completely integrating the 5 centuries earlier, utterly remotely existing, unknown to one another nations. As a scientist, I am greatly interested in all that goes on in the political economic scene and in the impact of one unforeseen technological evolutionary event after another upon that scene. I see one minuscule computer chip completely altering the whole world scene as the half-century of utterly unpredicted technological discoveries has occurred, accompanied by an ever greater familiarity with all the world by humanity. I have become increasingly confident that my 54-year-ago judgments were sound. I do not look upon human beings as good or bad. I don't think of my feet as a right foot and a wrong foot. My feet are exactly the inside-out reverse of each other in physical patterning. Pull the rubber glove off one hand, inside-outing it, and find it fits the other hand. Physics has found no straight lines, only waves. All courses are steered by alternate right and left veering. I see the human scene in the same way. There have to be humans to perform all the right-left evolutionary interfunctionings. I am a student of the effectiveness of the technological evolution in all its unexpected alterations of the preoccupations of humanity and in its all unexpected alterings of human behaviors and prospects. I do know that technologically, humanity now has the opportunity for the first time in its history to operate our planet in such a manner as to support and accommodate all humanity at a substantially more advanced standard of living than any humans have ever experienced. This is possible not because we have found more physical resources. We have always had enough resources. What has happened now makes the difference is that we have vastly increased our know-how of specialized innovations, all of which invisible realization integrates to make possible success for all. I also know that this can be realized only by a technological revolution involving total spaceship Earth, using all the resources and know-how as an integrated regenerative system, as in the design of any successful seagoing ship or of any biological organism. Spaceship Earth now has 150 admirals. The 5 admirals in the staterooms immediately above the ship's fuel tanks claim that they own the oil. The admirals with staterooms surrounding the ship's kitchen, dining rooms, and food refrigerators claim they own all the food. Those with a stateroom next to a lifeboat claim that they own the lifeboat, and so forth. They then have an onboard game called Balance of Trade. Very shortly, the majority of admirals have a deficit balance. All the while, the starboard side admirals are secretly planning to list the boat to port far enough to drown the portside admirals, while the portside admirals are secretly trying to list the boat to starboard far enough to drown the starboard side admirals. Nobody is paying any attention to operating the ship or steering it to some port. They run out of food and fuel. They discover that they can no longer reach a port of supply. Fini. Humanity is now experiencing history's most difficult evolutionary transformation. We are moving away from a rooted lifestyle with a 95% rate of illiteracy. We are almost unconsciously drifting away from self-identity with our ages-long, physically remote from one another existence as 150 separate sovereign nations. Now, the uprooted humans of all nations are spontaneously deploying into their physically integrated highways and airways and satellite-relayed telephone speakways into a big cityway stationed world-around living system. We may soon be atom-bombed into extinction by the preemptive folly of the political puppet administrators fronting for the exclusively for money-making supranational corporations' weaponry industry of the now hopelessly bankrupt greatest weapons manufacturing nation, the USA. If not bomb-terminated, we are on our ever-swifter way to becoming an omni-integrated, majorly literate, unified spaceship Earth society. The new human network's emergence represents the natural evolutionary expansion into the just completed 30 years in its building world-embracing physical communications network. The new reorienting of human networking constitutes the heart and mind pumped flow of life and intellect into the world arteries.